I know you all think I'm doing you a favour by keeping these vPubs going and doing extended opening and things like that. But truthfully, it's you that's doing me the favour and keeping me sane. Hello, Whisky folk. Hello. Welcome to an extended opening of the vPub on Sunday night. Fantastic to welcome you all again for a kind of relaxed, not so structured, more laid back kind of extended opening. That's just another way of me saying that I haven't really prepared any structure or any real themes or anything for tonight. Rather, it's just a pocket of community time for us all to kind of get together. And let's be honest, I'm not really, my wife is frontline, she's key in this crazy situation that we find ourselves in globally, but I am not. I'm just a kind of husband, dad, and failed home teacher right now. So there's not so much I can do, but I can do this. And I'm really grateful of all your direct messages, all your direct encouragement. In order to keep kind of bringing these sessions, because it gives everybody in the community an opportunity to come together, to chat together, to say hello, and maybe just to pour a wee dram, put their feet up and take a bit of time out during these silly, often scary times, honestly, that we're facing right now. Anyway, it's Sunday evening. Wonderful amount of you waiting, as always, for the pub doors to open. I'm very grateful of the support. And all I'm going to do is just kind of have a relaxed session, keep it well under 2 hours tonight. Please help me keep it under 2 hours. It's a busy week ahead for everyone, including myself. And I'm going to pour some sample drams from the community. I've got my sample box here, and I'm just going to grab a few random drams. I've got my empty Glencairns lined up and ready to go, and we can just have a bit of a, I don't know, like a question and answer, chat backwards and forwards. Let's jump in and welcome all the fantastic barflies that have been sitting in the chat waiting. So good to see you all. Chris B is here. Fantastic, Chris. Good to welcome you in. I saw that you were hanging out with Gregor and having a nice time recently on doing what so much of the community is doing, actually getting together on these kind of remote virtual meeting rooms and conference calls and sharing drams, sharing family meetings and using it for work and everything. It's I think we need to hope that the internet and all these tools and platforms can hold together and keep us going and keep us connected. We are very fortunate to have those while we go through this difficult time. Whisky Influencer is here. Fantastic. Good to see you, my friend. Luke Gixer Skipper is in. Good to see you, Luke. Whisky Stream Fi. Good to see you, Tony. Nice to welcome you in, my friend. Luna Aaron is here. Jean Della Cuisine is also here. Fantastic. Marcus Heinen, good to see you, Marcus. Finally done. Evening, Roy. Finally done. Is that a new name? Nice to welcome you, my friend. Good to see you in. Jimmy Legg is here. Fantastic, Jimmy. Good to see you. Always nice to welcome you, as is Radek Rombout as well from the Netherlands. Rombout, so good to see you. That's iLaddie in the chat. iLaddie Whiskey Nerd. My friend Darren McFault is here as well. Superb. Michael Johnson. Eric Waite from California, you star. Good to have you joining us, Eric. Nice to welcome you in. Desi Leland is here. Good to see you, Desi. I hope you're well. Whiskey Novice Jim in Northern Ireland. Fantastic, Jim. Good to have you. Alistair Gray, Chrismir Jelchich, Pete Head, Che Francis, Tabitha Adams, Anthony Dunn, the Doc, McAllen Fine and Rare. Of course, Doc, thanks so much for joining us and hosting us at Kalila and Lagavulin on Thursday night this week. It was a pleasure. A lot of good feedback. A lot of people excited to see Andy Ardbeg and the Doc live on a stream and put a face to the name. Steve Whiskey Brer is here. Good to see you, Steve. Orange Wool. Daniel Vermaas. Excellent, Daniel. Always good to see you in. Michael, Sunday Evening Scotch. You star, Michael. Good to have you. Jimmy Jazz. Superb, Jimmy. Good to see you. Paul Gibbs from down south. Matt Cigars and Whiskey. Superb. Hoyt. Mark Goins. Red Sox. Eddie Blundell. Spiritworks Tom. Jeffrey Pellegrini. I wonder if that's a new name, Jeffrey. Nice to welcome you in. Mark Slinger, The Last Drop Chris, good to have you, Chris. Whiskey at Dom's, Island Hopper Stewart, David Anderson, Marcus Kreitner, Eric Evanson, Tim Donnerpass Whiskey, who's got to go out and has got to function as one of our essential workforce. That would be a good thing to do. I did it on Thursday, and I think it's good to do it again, to raise a glass and to say thanks to everybody in healthcare, everybody in all our essential services, everybody that's out there keeping everything going and would desperately love a pocket of time just to lock down at home and kind of duck and cover for a little while. But they're not. They're going out and they're keeping all the essential services functioning. And really, it's just marvellous to behold. Raise a glass to Tim, Dorpass Whiskey, and hopefully, Tim, you'll be able to pick us all up in the replay. But we're glad to have you in before you disappear off to do your shift. Sláinte to you and everyone like you. Thank you, Tim. Fantastic, so many of you in. I'm going to grab my samples from the box in a wee minute, but I want to mention something quickly first, and I forgot to bring it up on Thursday. It was announced on Thursday, and I was a wee bit frustrated that I didn't announce it because, or to talk about it after its announcement, because Andy Ardbeg hosted us at Ardbeg during Thursday night's virtual tour of Islay. And I was really excited by news from Ardbeg. And I really, as a community, I would love us to celebrate the fact that they have launched, or in the process of launching, a 5-year-old whiskey. But they're putting it out there at natural presentation, 47.4% ABV, I believe, natural colour, unchill filtered, a good price. It looks to be about £40, £35, maybe less. We don't know. It's fairly well priced, considering it's Islay single malt, but it's got a very bold age statement on there. 5 years old. It's what we've been asking for. It's what I've been shouting about. Let us embrace these expressions. The companies that have the confidence to step forward and say, no, this is 5 years old. Now, of course, they have the luxury of being an Islay peated single malt. So the people that really like peaty, powerful expressions, they know to go towards a younger expression in order to keep the phenol still fully intact. But that kind of paves the way. If that's a good whiskey, if that's a whiskey that we can engage with, bearing its age and price point in mind, we need to celebrate that. And we need to send ripples back to the community and feedback from the community, back to the producers to tell them that that's what we need. It doesn't always need to lead and be in front of the label. It can be on the back. It can be somewhere else. But that's really, really exciting stuff from Ardbeg. And I'm very, very pleased to see it. If you're trying to get hold of my attention tonight, I'm going to try and interact much more with the lounge tonight. So if you're trying to get my attention at Aquavite or just Aquavite, it seems to be getting highlighted. Just remember there's a V in Aqua, which is a bit frustrating. AQVA, Aquavite. A couple of members have joined tonight. The members thing to join the channel, it's £1.99 a month. And what it does is it just gives you access to custom emojis and loyalty badges and things like that. It just adds a bit of colour and fun to the chat. So if you're active in the lounge and you're chatting to each other and you want to use custom emojis and things, that's what that does. It does support me a little bit as well. If you really want to support the channel, of course, for a long time now, that's been my community inside Patreon, and that's where I focus most of my attention as well. When I keep these live streams going forward, I'm going to try and do weekly live streams if my personal schedule permits. Honestly, my calendar is pretty clear right now. And I will try to keep weekly live streams. And I'm also going to try and do these extended opening sessions on a Sunday night, if at all possible. Last Sunday was a patron-only vPub lock-in, so it's one that's much quieter, much more relaxed, just for patrons, and I try to do those monthly as well. But thank you all for your support. Thank you to everybody that's joined the Barflies tonight through the YouTube memberships, which is right about here. There's a join button somewhere. Gregor is here. Gregor McQueen, you start. It says, it passed me by when you announced the Shutdown Whisky Festival, quite how big a compliment it is that you were asked to host. Here's to all your hard work paid into the community. Well done. Thank you, Gregor. Thanks so much. I'll tell you what's happened there, and I'll use your prompt, Gregor, to talk about that, because I'm genuinely excited about it. We always talk about how collaborative and how symbiotic whiskey can be. David Evans has just joined Aquavitae Barflies as well. Welcome, David. Thank you. And it genuinely is, but sometimes when it's fighting for your attention on a shelf, when it's been branded, it becomes a little bit more protective and a little bit less collaborative. But what you see is that in an environment such as a whiskey festival, when the tables are literally alongside each other, there's a much more of a kind of family atmosphere, and everybody's in it together, and it's a nice time. And the festival atmosphere is a nice thing to experience. All these whiskey companies getting together in order to share their products with us. The original approach was that they come to me and they ask me to host it on the Aquavitae channel, and I was excited and flattered about that. But I had to go back fairly quickly and say, it doesn't fit. My channel is fully independent. It's not kind of, although there will be people from the industry, there will be brands that join me regularly, I hope, from time to time. It's always in the spirit of adding layers of value and insight and interest, rather than just a kind of sales pitch. That's the idea of this channel anyway, to remain as independent as possible. So I didn't kind of want to hand over the channel to that kind of format. I felt it would be kind of betraying the people that do support me, which are my patrons and the YouTube members and people like that. People like Daniel Whisky Throttle, who's just bought me a virtual dram. You star, Daniel. Has he made a comment or anything? Virtual dram as I sit next to two samples from when you graciously met me at the Glasgow airport. A Macduff 21-year-old and a Mortlach 16 flora and fauna. Might have to open one. Drank your blend on the ferry ride to Ardnamurchan. Daniel, you star. I think that sample you have might be from this very bottle. I'm going to give away the heel of this bottle tonight. This is kind of gold dust Mortlach 16. It's been discontinued for a number of years now. But I put a post out on Instagram of a picture of this to talk about just how gorgeous I think the bottle is. I just think it's very, very classy. Quite a pretty thing. And I mentioned that I was going to give away a dram tonight. I didn't realise how little was left in a bottle, but there's enough in there to fill a little 3cl sample bottle. And I'd like to, I'd like to give one away. I've lost my train of thought about why I was talking about I was talking about the Lockdown Whiskey Festival. But when I talk about giving away the sample, I want to talk about an idea I've had. When we give away samples, we always give it away based on a question, and it's usually a very knowledgeable person that gets that right. But I think, honestly, it would be nice if kind of experiences like this could go to people that perhaps are a wee bit earlier on in their whiskey journey. They've only just maybe stepped inside their whiskey bubble, or somebody that would desperately love to try a Mortlach 16, a legend of a whiskey like this. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to say, I'm going to continue putting the questions out in the same way we always have, but the winner doesn't get the prize. He doesn't get the sample. He or she does not win the sample. Instead, they win the opportunity to nominate somebody else from the lounge, somebody else in the chat that I can send the sample to. So I'm going to give this heel, this Mortlach 16, to the first person who can tell me is to be Mortlach related. So let's go with partial triple distillation happens at Mortlach. So it's kind of 2.4 times more or less distillation to do with the recirculation of the spirit. But the still, there's a famous still at Mortlach. What's the name of that still that they use to achieve that partial triple distillation? I'll accept the first answer that comes in on the chat, and it's Chris B has answered immediately. Chris, you've said the Wee Witchy. Global Citizen also answered Wee Witchy. It's many, many, many more of you know exactly what I was after there. Wee Witchy is the name of that still. So Chris B, I'm going to be looking for you to nominate somebody else in the chat in order. You have won them a dram of Mortlach 16 Flora and Fauna that Daniel Whisky Throttle is about to perhaps pour and share. Daniel, thank you so much, my friend, for your virtual dram. I have to say it was a pleasure to come and meet you at Glasgow Airport. It was a pleasure to have the opportunity to meet you after your trip around Scotland as well, my friend. Slanchiva. Oh, Spiritworks Thomas saying, I think I was there first, but Chris, crack on. Let's see. I have to say that sometimes what happens on your chat, the order that appears in your chat is often different from mine. So apologies, Tom, if it appeared like that on your side. And I'm just looking for Chris to nominate who the winner is going to be. Chris B, I'll nominate Lee J. Brown, as I know he is fairly early in his whiskey journey. Exactly in the spirit of what I was talking about. Can't think of a nicer guy for it to go to either. Well done, Lee J. So let's make a note of that. Mortlack. F and F, Lee J. Brown. And I quite like the idea of that. We might do that from time to time as well, that you win the opportunity to gift it to someone rather than keep it for yourself. Let me know what you think about that idea. So yeah, the Lockdown Whiskey Festival, they came to me, they said, well, would you host it in the channel? And I went back and I said, look, really appreciate the thought and the offer. It's really exciting. It'd be fantastic, but it doesn't really fit with the channel. I hope that's okay. Instead, I'm really excited about the project. Let me help you promote it and bring attention to it as well. Mikey Hay, you star. Virtual hug to Roy and his amazing virtual pub crowd. Absolutely, Mikey. I love the idea of winners nominating other people. True sharing. Wonderful, Mikey. Thank you so much. I'll raise a glass. Have I told anyone what I'm actually drinking tonight? This is a bottle kill. I don't think it's going to surprise anybody what it is. I get through a ton of this stuff because I absolutely adore it. My producer of the year, 2019, thoroughly deserved. Wonderful stuff coming out of Kilkerran at wonderful prices. Really, really engaging stuff. Fully natural as well. Gives a bit more information on the label, Kilkerran, but we can't hold anything against you, honestly. You're a fantastic crowd of folk making wonderful, wonderful whiskey. So when I offered to help support and help them and talk about it widely to my community, to talk about this first ever virtual whiskey festival, the guys immediately came back to me and asked if I would host it and play the role of the punter almost, you know, somebody that's asking questions, that's curious, that try and take questions from the crowd and things like that, much in the same way as I do on the vPub and host it. So to work out the kinks, how that's going to work, how the structure is going to work, how the flow is going to work and things, I approached Tomatin today, who's driving this, and I asked them to prepare a list of the drams that they're potentially going to be sharing in advance. Just did a message in from Leanne. Wow. What would Leanne be saying? Oh, wow. She's out camping, it seems like. Leanne Rayner, so that's Scotch on the Bayou, who sent me through a message to say, have a good show. Watching a bit while the signal holds from our campsite. And she's got a picture of it. Wow, next to a very, very slow looking Louisiana River. Slancha y'all, she says. It's bright out, so I can hear better than see you. Let's show you the image that Leanne has sent. That is what you call Scotch on the Bayou. Thank you, Leanne. Thank you. So I've asked for them to provide a list of what's going to be shared by the different brands in advance. And that means, you know, we're not all going to run out and buy these brands, but it might be that some of us already have something on hand. And when that point in the stream comes along, we can have the dram ready. So if they go into any detail on it, or certainly if they share any tasting notes or whatever it may be, it's kind of nice at the appropriate moment to just kind of drink along, because that's what we lose in this virtual festival, isn't it? We lose the ability to taste the wares that's been poured for us at these festivals. But of course we gain in global inclusion and reach, as I've already said. Eric Evanson is quite rightly saying that's dedication by Leanne. Zenbud is saying, you have inspired me to crack open my Kilkerran 12. My friend, why is it not already cracked open? It's really, and it just keeps giving. It's going to get better as the bottle goes down. This is my last dram out of this, as you see, and it's tasting absolutely gorgeous tonight. And it's going to get my palate ready for enjoying this Bimber that I received from Spiritworks Tom, who's in the chat tonight. He gave this to me in London. This is the 2019 Founders Collection, I believe, that you got a dram. You got a little pour of this along with the full bottle. And Tom quite nicely gave his to me. Thank you so much, Tom. Wonderful stuff. And then another 2 drams I'm going to pour out my pool and then pour from my sample box. So this sample box usually sits down here. There. But I've pulled it out for tonight, and I'm not gonna look at what I'm pulling out at all. I'm just gonna. Well, that's completely blank. So let's just put that to the side. Okay, here we have, I don't know who gave me this. It looks like an official bottling. It's a Glengoyne cask strength. Come on, let's have one from the community. This is a Charlton Port Charlotte 15-year-old at 54.9%. A peaty one, I can put that right at the end. So that I can tell from the label, it doesn't say his name on it, but I know the styling of that. That is from our gentleman and bottle chaser, Scott Kilted Moose. That box probably plays havoc with the microphone, doesn't it? Stevie is saying, get a new lamp already or not yet? So yeah, I knew that you would be asking me this, so I've dug this out. I'd originally thrown it away. There was a huge pop and bang. It was a bit of a comedy moment on Thursday night's stream. There was a bit of a crackle beforehand. And I can't always hear which direction anything's coming from, so I couldn't tell it was actually behind me. But there was a couple of seconds of a crackle, and then there was an almighty bang. Now, it was quite loud over the mic and things, but it was much, much louder in this room. And I can show you, it's an uplighter. It's like an LED uplighter. You can see here that there's some detritus sticking out the side from where it spectacularly exploded on me. It's the power supply capacitor popped. I kept the screw out of this so I could show you. Take the LEDs out and show you that that's what's left of the capacitor in there. Yeah, so that's for the skip then. That was what was at fault. And I didn't actually know until after the stream what caused the problem. And it wasn't until somebody left a comment and a timestamp, and I was able to click on their timestamp and go back and watch it happening. And you can see the light going out over my shoulder before the big bang happens. There is a bit of an ugly electrical smell from the lamp, but at the time it failed quite safely, albeit spectacularly. But it didn't. There was a slight puff of smoke. You can just see it kind of drifting across in front of here. But there wasn't a lot of smell in the room. But anybody that knows me that knows I'm notoriously bad at picking up smoky smells at the best of times because of my peaty whiskey addiction. Perhaps. I've got another couple of wee drams here that I might take an ocean for. I've got the Claxtons from Marcus Kreitner, and this is a 6-year-old Kalila. I know I poured it previously, but I've got some more of that, and he didn't see my reaction or get any feedback from it. And I've got a Bunnahabhain brandy cask. I'm not sure who that's from. But I've got a few. I've got plenty of whiskey to keep me going. I can't have too much tonight. I need to keep the pours small because, of course, I am the teacher tomorrow. So we can talk a wee bit more about the lockdown festival at Vlad, my friend. Hi, Roy, for a wee dram. Cheers, my friend. Vlad, thank you so much for your virtual dram, my friend. Here's to you. Slancheva. Jimmy Legg is saying I still doesn't trust the plant. Alan Hopper Stewart, he said, this is getting like Ralphie's Brother channel with Big Clive. Lots of people have suggested that I should send the lamp to Big Clive to try and determine the failure, but I think we can clearly see that it's just a weak capacitor. Jimmy Jazz is saying, I pulled that Berry Brothers and Rudd single cask blend from the bottle chaser Scott. Looking forward to it. Scott is very generous with these samples, and they're always crackers that he shares out as well. Michael, Sunday Evening Scotch is saying, Aquavita and Barfly says, anyone made a gif of Roy after that happened? That would make an excellent reaction gif. Joke aside. Listen, nobody's had more fun out of that thing than my wife. She watched it over and over and over again, and I kept waiting for the kind of the gag reflex laughter to fade a little bit and for her to stop laughing at it. But it really made her Friday and Saturday. I think she was really chuffed with how silly I looked as I reacted, and cowered under the fear of an explosion in the room. And isn't it crazy that that would happen on a live stream, right? It's just a way of it. Whiskey influencer is spot on, saying a lot of small pours equals a lot of whiskey. Yeah, that's right. We go for variety over volume, don't we? We try to, at least. Orange Will is saying, I shall crack open the same Bimber sample along with you. Good for you. It'd be interesting for us both to do the same. Anybody else that has the 2019 Bimber Founders Reserve, it's not going to be easy to get a hold of, honestly, but it's been widely celebrated. The lamp exploded to give you a new smelling note. Absolutely, Daniel. It's like building up a wee library. McCarthy's agrees with your smoke-free nasal passage, Roy. That's right. That's an example of me not picking up smoke on the blind tasting challenge just over a week ago with Gregor McQuee. He put a McCarthy's peated in there. I didn't pick out the peat until it was pointed out to me. Luna Aaron's saying, I'm beginning to dig your wife's sense of humour. My wife, I've broached the subject of her appearing on not a public vPub, but she will come along and hang out to say hello to patrons on one of the lock-ins one night. Well, let's say she hasn't fully agreed to it, but she hasn't said no either. It looks like it might be an easy job to convince her to come in and say hello to you in one of the upcoming vPubs. Tabitha Adams is saying, I think the reason I want that to happen for my wife to come on is that I'm always writing about her inside the patron environment. I'm always mentioning her on lives and things and talking about how much that she supports all of the things that I do for Whisky, because we've got a young family and day jobs, real jobs and things. And this takes a ton of time. It really, really does. And the only way it can function and happen is that if you've got somebody that's willing to pick up the slack from you going off to do this kind of stuff. And that is very much my wife. But it would be nice to kind of demonstrate to you that we're both very aware of the time that's taken, and that we remain supportive of it all and of each other. It's the only way that it can be. The Whisky Influencer is suggesting I could put my wife to the test in a blind taste test. I might convince her to enjoy a dram of Lagavulin 16. It's really the only one so far that she's actually sat up and said, I think I could drink this. Very interesting. Daniel from Mass is saying it was nice to meet your wife in Glasgow. Yes, of course, anybody that came along to the Glasgow gathering at the Bon Accord in May of last year when Bart and Scott of the Scottish Test Dummies were over would have met my wife because she turned up just to meet everybody there. Mark Slinger is saying, Roy, I met your better half at the Glasgow gathering. She was so funny and couldn't believe you were so popular. Selena is saying, I arrived at Port Charlotte CCO1. Started the evening with a Glenfiddich 19 Age of Discovery Madeira during Whiskey Jason's stream and bridged the time with a Boona Haven. Was Whiskey Jason live tonight? I didn't spot that. Fraser Bell is saying, what kind of doctor is Mrs. Aquaviti? She's a family doctor. She's a general practitioner. So she's frontline right now, unfortunately. Glenn Duncan is saying, Aquaviti, love the shirts. Can I get one here in Australia? So the shirt I'm wearing tonight, I'm proudly wearing my friend Vin from No Nonsense Whiskey's polo shirt. Yeah, of course, you might be talking about the Aquaviti shirts. They're the exact same shirts. Mine is navy, and I've got a charcoal grey. But this is Vin at No Nonsense Whiskey. This is his brand new shirt, turned up in the post for me yesterday. So, of course, I had to wear it for the live tonight. The last No Nonsense Whiskey polo shirt I got probably about 2 years ago from him, and I still wear it now, but it's looking a wee bit worse for wear because I've worn the hell out of it. Mark G has got the No Nonsense Whiskey emoji coming up. Thanks, Mark. Whisky Influencer, cheers to your wife for being on the front lines. Very admirable. She's got no choice. She's very pragmatic about it. It's very stressful. Some days can be really, really difficult, and other days can be a wee bit more or less difficult than she imagined. So everyone's going through challenging times right now. My wife is just one of them. But like I say, she is very pragmatic about it. Whiskey Jason is saying, good to see you. And Jason, wonderful to welcome you. I am live every Sunday evening at 9 p.m. in German. So that's 8 p.m. here, isn't it, Jason? Hopefully we're not clashing. I mean, the clashing thing is just there's an inevitability, especially during these times when everybody's taken to the live airwaves, not just public streams like this one, but private streams and patron streams and, little groups and clubs meeting and things that never getting together. It's just a factor of it all. We just need to try and manage it as best we can. Scotch on the Bayou. Leanne's saying Lynn is a gem and most gracious hostess. She'll blush hearing that, Leanne. Thank you so much. Eric is saying, are you fond of American bourbons or rye? What is your favourite in each category? Currently, my two favourite bourbons is Easy Answer, Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, and Jack Daniel's single barrel proof. Wonderful stuff. My favourite rye, I enjoyed a Pikesville quite recently. I'd say I don't have much experience of bourbons or ryes. But I like to explore. What I find that they don't always mix with Scotch in a lineup. I think if you're into a lineup of Scotches and then you suddenly reach for a bourbon of any style or even some ryes, I think that it's quite jarring, the contrast. But I think if you are willing to sit down with 2 or 3 bourbons or 2 or 3 ryes and enjoy them, you can really get swept away in the flavours and the engagement. But I often find that they're a little bit, they don't always sit nicely together. I don't know if you would agree with me, Eric. Hoyt has bought me a dram as well, a dram for your wife and her brave service. I'll be sure to pass it along to her. Of course, as you've already heard, Hoyt, it's probably going to be a Lagavulin 16. Sláinte, my friend, it was nice to hang out with you last year and your other half as well. Pleasure, Hoyt, thank you. Lot 40 rye was a cracker, Jim. Whiskey Novice. Lot 40 rye was an absolute peach of a thing. I vaguely remember it was a good one for you. Absolutely, Jim. Thank you for reminding me of that. Lee Hosey Haddington Whiskey is saying, Aquaviti, are there any rum alternatives, as Ralphie calls them, that you enjoy? Yes, I do. So I don't have much of a sweet tooth. If it's sickly sweet and heavy on the syrup, I don't connect with it too much. But I'm finding that naturally presented rums, there are some rums that are really, really good for whiskey drinkers. They have complexity and layers and more than leading just with a kind of rich sweetness. I enjoy those. And I have to say that if it wasn't for the fact that there are just so many whiskies to stay engaged with, I would be exploring further in all those different directions. But it's time, wallet and liver capacity, let's be honest. And in my sweet spot and my true passion, the thing that really drives me is still very much Scotch whiskey, but I love Irish, I love sampling English whiskies, I love world whiskies. But I tend to be the kind of world and whiskies that I enjoy tend to be Scotch-alikes. And I don't mean that in a negative way, I mean ones that are made and produced in a similar style to Scotch. So heavily corn-led whiskies such as bourbons or rye or wheat-led whiskies, I maybe need to enjoy kind of a bit more in isolation, I think. Talking of world whiskies, I need to get this Bimber port. Thank you, Tom. Just pour half the bottle just now. Lee J. Brown has just joined the Barflies. Thank you, Lee J. Thanks for participating. Thanks for supporting. Kilco O'Brien is here and saying the Highway Double Rye is something interesting as far as taste, as I was able to buy a bottle not long ago. Double Rye. Now, High West, they're doing a lot of interesting things. And I think at one point, did they not do something that was half Scotch and half bourbon or half Scotch and half something else? I'm not sure. That might be a short-circuited memory. But yeah, I have a High West here. It's through in the cabinet, but it's not the Double Rye. It was a gift to me from Bill that I do enjoy from time to time. Sunday Evening Scotch Michael is saying ACBP is hard to beat. I'm still looking forward to hearing what you think about Russell's reserve pick. Michael, it's still here. It's sealed. It was gifted to me by Sir Dwayne Large. I'm going to wait till Dwayne's on a vPub again. He's taking some time out right now, but he'll be back. And I think that's when I'll keep that, or maybe any time that I can get in front of Dwayne. I think that would be the time to open that one. Wayne McCoy, good to see you. Wayne is saying thank you for doing these extra vPubs. Helps take our mind off other things, not just the current situation. I have to say, it's very much looking forward to tonight again because it takes my mind off it as well. Wonderful stuff. I need to mute these notifications that are coming through because I'm finding them a wee bit distracting just now. Just because it's extended hours doesn't mean to say it's not a vPub. You have my attention. Whiskey Dodie George is saying, have you tried the Eldorado 15? That's what got me into whiskey 5 years ago. No, I haven't. And I don't know much about it, and I can't really tell what these things are, which of them are naturally presented, which are maybe a bit more synthetic and things. It just needs either, if it's left to me, it probably won't happen. But if there's somebody that comes close to me and leads me a little bit, that shines the light on what's available out there and what direction to go in, I might end up enjoying that type of stuff. But of course, it takes away from the whiskey enjoyment because you can't clone yourself, right? McCann Finer Rare is saying, at the recent Nuremberg Whiskey Show at the Village, they served a Jack Daniel's single barrel proof and a flight of scotches. People were not happy, to say the least. But I don't. That's a shame. People were not happy. I mean, if they've paid to have a Scotch lineup and that's thrown in there, I know, Doc, you don't like bourbons. It's not that you don't like them. You haven't found many bourbons that you engage with yet, I think. But I have to say, I think EC, BP, I think Jack Daniel's single barrel proof and things are wonderful to try. I love the texture and the grip and the power. Simon Ray is saying, I know that we had the clap for NHS workers the other day, but can we raise a glass to Mrs. Aquaviti and everyone else working in healthcare right now? Simon, we did that at the opening of the start of the show, but I don't think we can raise enough of them. So absolutely, to everyone out there that's frontline, everybody that's helping everything continue to function, slant it. And we still haven't said the C word. Good stuff. Jason Fisk, good to see you. Next time you're in London, come to Milroy's and ask for Jason. And Eddie, I'll look after you. Jason, I was in Milroy's just a couple of weeks ago with Jimmy Jazz, with Andy Ardbeg, with Spiritworks Tom. There was a few of us there. And we were Neil Morrissey was in that day as well. We ended up spending far too much time there. We were almost running a wee bit late for the tasting. We were down for the London Whisky Club tasting. But I love that bar. I love Milroy's, and I would love to bump into you there, Jason. It would be a pleasure. Billy Saunders is saying, what bottle are you currently on the lookout for? Chasing anything? Nothing specifically, honestly, Billy, because I believe that if it's meant for you, it finds you. So I gave up on the Longrow Red. I just said, I've missed out on the Longrow Red this year. It's fine, move on. That came out in February. And then I got a message from Roddy to say, hey, Roy, there's a Longrow Red here waiting for you in the shop. You put your name in the list, don't you remember? Now, obviously, I was kind of hoping that somebody would get in touch with me, and they usually do at the shop. But they obviously, I don't know, for whatever reason, it slipped through the cracks. And the Longrow Red was suddenly available. It was there for me, so I got one. And I picked up a Kingsbarn single cask from the Good Spirits Company as well. They're both sitting just out of shot over there. Anthony Dunn is saying, for the front lines, thank you, Anthony. Slanchivat to you, my friend. Thank you. So let's, Klaus is here saying, hey, Roy, I saw in store the Lagavulin 12 2017 for 120. Is it worth it for that price? Is that 120 euros? I haven't paid more than £100 for any Lagavulin 12 yet, but it looks like that's the joining price now for Lagavulin 12. It's creeping up, and it's a bit more expensive. I don't know, honestly, Klaus. I would say if you love your peat, and if you're a Lagavulin fan, the Lagavulin 12, the special releases, the annual release is where it's at, honestly. The Lagavulin 8 is a peach of a whiskey. I have to say I've heard a lot of good things about the 11-year-old, which was the Nick Offerman edition. I think because it's presented nicely at 46% perhaps. I haven't tried it. I do have a bottle here. If I was to have one Lagavulin just for me, and it was just for me and I wasn't sharing it, it would be the 12. If I was having a Lagavulin that I had to put there and I knew I was going to have to be sharing it with people, it would maybe be the 16 or the 8 or another expression. But the 12 is a peach. And amongst recent releases, the 2017 remains a bit of a pinnacle for me. I mean, it's not standout. It's not like huge amplification of quality or experience over the other years. But for me, to my palate, that velvety texture when it hit me was wonderful. It took me right back to tasting Lagavulin in the warehouse. And I sipped it at a time that I was kind of drifting away from Lagavulin. I was kind of pulling back, and it drew me right back in. Spiritworks Tom has said, oh, just as the chat jumped, that was bloody great at Milroy's and so random bumping into Neil Morrissey. Yeah, it was. It was a good, fun afternoon. Eric is saying I do agree. I tend to have dedicated Scotch or Irish nights and bourbon and rye nights only. Only peaty whiskies hold up after a bourbon. Could have a good point there. Could have a good point. But I think this Bimber, in my experience, despite it being so young, and I don't think there's any peat in this one or any peated casks, things like this hold up well against it because it's obviously cask strength, but it's very, very bold and bright. Oh. So I'm talking about my experience of the Bimber Richard. This is coming off much more mellow and I have to say refined, a lot more refined than I was expecting. But it's a seductive, dark prospect. There's a real sweetness in there. There's a real... It's bizarre what's happened at Bimber. There's a uniqueness to what they're producing, and I get it every time. I wish I could isolate it. I wish I could find the language to define what it is that I find different about Bimber. Is it spice? Is it aromatics? Because the sweetness, it's not like sugar. It's like a floral honey sweetness. But the overall impression is something quite seductive and heavy and weighty. All we want from our whiskies is for them to be good quality, for them to taste nice, to be delicious and engaging. But when they can bring things that are striking, you think you've tasted it all. You think you've tasted everything. When they can bring layers and new things, and they're immediately appealing, it's not like an acquired taste. This is very floral. This is very aromatic. It's difficult to pinpoint. They've obviously made a product that ages very well quite early. They're obviously using fantastic casks. That's a peach. That's a peach. I have to say, anybody that's out there holding a bottle of the 2019 Founders Bimber is sitting on a cracker of a whiskey. I do have some Bimbers. I don't have this one. I've got the London Whisky Club edition. I've got the inaugural. I've got another bottle of the Richard sitting up there. I bought a second bottle after just only taking the top off the first. I always say that nothing guarantees the quality of Scotch whisky in the future more than good quality English whisky. And this is good quality English whisky. I have to say that's an amazing whisky experience. The distillate is still fully in song. It's vibrant and it's bold and it's not all kind of rounded out and mellowed, and it's quite, I don't want to say it's jagged in a rough sense. It's the complexity, it's the vibrancy of the spirit. It's still very much Who is it that has this? I know Tom has it. Somebody else has it. It was a cracker. Jason Whiskey Wise is here. Can I just say, fantastic, Jason, to welcome you in tonight. I was so chuffed as I was setting up when I saw your name. When this vPub started out, when the live stream started out on this channel 2.5 years ago, Jason was here, solid as and reliable as you like, every week, looking after the chat, looking after you guys, being a great host, helping me out. And then he obviously got a job, a pretty intense job in the whiskey industry, and it's kind of drawn his attention away. So it's wonderful to have a Sunday night session where we can welcome our Jason Viswani, Jason Whiskey Wise, back in. Wonderful to see you. But you asked me a question there if I'd tried the new make. No, I haven't, but I do have it. James, Hope, and Jez in May last year presented me with a tasting set of Bimbers. And much like that Linkwood set that's sitting over my shoulder up there, I'm waiting for a moment. I think that was from Rico. No, either Rico or Kresimir. I don't remember now. I want to go and grab it to see. But I'm going to find a night that I can sit down and enjoy it in a kind of vertical night. Spiritworks Thomas said he believes there's just 200 bottles of the 2019 in total. Wow. Whoever's got it has got a cracking whiskey. Malcolm Douglas is saying, I'm looking forward to Cooper King Distillery's whiskey coming of age. Do you know what? When all of these new distilleries, when all the product comes of age, I wonder what the market is going to look like. I wonder what the shelves are going to look like. Is it going to be confusing? Are they all going to be competing for each other? It's going to be interesting times because they can't all be a daft mill, right? Malcolm Douglas, sorry I picked up that one. Nathan Clark is here saying, do you have much experience with American single malts? If so, what are your thoughts? I know quite a few Texas single malts, Michter's single malt, but I'm fairly limited on the shelf here. There are a few American single malts. Some are open, some not so much. I do enjoy them. I enjoyed a few from Westland recently, for example. And I think that it's good. They certainly don't taste like Scotch, which is a fantastic thing because while it's a single malt, it's a slightly different thing. Have I fallen in love with any? The best one I've tried was only a dram, and that was the peated Balcones over in Austin, Texas last year. It wasn't released yet. We got an advanced taste of it. It's out now. I think I've got a bottle put aside for me. I'm not sure. But peated Balcones, that's the kind of whiskey that's going to ensure global quality and global, that we all strive to up the quality of it. That if Balcones can bring out something as engaging as that, if the product that they bring out and release on the general market is as good as the sample I tried, fabulous stuff. Not heavy peated. The peat is there. It's fully intact, certainly on the palate. Loved it. I thought it was a fantastic whiskey. Stevie Whiskey Bread is saying, I tried the Bimper Richard Oak and didn't enjoy it. I found it overhyped, in my opinion. But that's the thing. It's the great thing about, and don't discount it, Steve, just because you've kind of engaged with it and then you thought, oh, screw that. Or there are a few people out there that have said, no, it's wrong and I just didn't get on with it. But I think as you go along your whiskey journey at different points, you seem to enjoy different styles and you're looking for different things and you engage with different things. And I'm at the point where I seem to be enjoying kind of more spirit-driven things than cask-driven things right now. But I fully imagine that these things are cyclic and I'll go back to looking for really good quality cask experiences again. But when the spirit is bright, one of the best whiskey experiences I've had in the last 2 years was 8-year-old Talisker from the special releases. A peach of a whiskey. I've got one bottle and it's sealed, one bottle left, and I'm keeping it because I know that every single time I open one of those, it's gone in a matter of a couple or 3-4 weeks. It just disappears. And it's because the spirit is still there. It's fully intact and it's in full song. The cask is there. You can enjoy the cask elements too, but it's not what you would call mellow, soft, rounded, integrated, elegant whiskey. It's quite shouty. It's not aggressive, but it certainly communicates with you. And that's the kind of thing that I've enjoyed from Bimber. So don't discount it. Jimmy Legacy saying more whiskey won't confuse me. Christ Whiskey Guide is saying Michter's do single malts. Never heard of it. Yeah. Michter's American single malt. It was one of the hits of the Glasgow Whisky Festival for me. I got poured Michter's single malt. It just hit me at the right moment. I enjoyed it very much. It was a slight acetone, very rich caramel. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the texture of it. I enjoyed having it at that point in time, and it was in such a contrast. At a festival, you're having so many things that it's easy for you to forget things and for things not to stand out. So the ones that you remember tend to be the ones that do kind of jump and shout out a wee bit. Max Huss is saying, have you tried any German whiskey? A few. None that have really grabbed me, Max. I apologise. I've tried a few. I've tried Slurs. I've tried St. Killian's. I've been at the Frankfurt Festival a couple of years in a row now and enjoyed various drams and samples. But yeah, I'm sure there are some good ones out there. Nathan Clark is saying Westland is very good. Their peated is very special. While I hear the newer peated expressions have got a lot better. Yes, I have a bottle on the Balcones peated. It's gold. Thanks. Nice that you're enjoying it too, Nathan. Daniel Gray is saying, Aquaviti, what are your thoughts on the whiskey nosing kits? Are they worth it or just a gimmick that doesn't offer much? Daniel, if I could afford one, I would have one here. Honestly speaking, I would have it. I am fascinated by it. I'm fascinated by the breadth of flavours, what your brain is capable of, especially with a bit of practice and training. But I'm mostly fascinated by how utterly rubbish I remain at it. And I know a lot of people saying, oh, you're good at this, you're good at that. And everything's relative, you know. You think you're good at it, and then you meet somebody who's really good at it, and you realise that you're nowhere. Zeke is saying inexperiences of the Kilchoman lineup. We spoke about Kilchoman on the Isla tour that we did on Thursday night, Zeke. Nice to welcome you in, my friend Zeke Hansen. I have to say that Kilchoman are coming into their stride now. They're starting to put out really good, consistent product now, whereas way back at the beginning, it was very young and it was a bit hit and miss, and some of it I felt was a bit of a misstep. It was always a try before you buy for me. Now I'm starting to feel much more confident about Kilchoman. There's a big cult following. There's lots of fans around Kilchoman that won't have anything said against them. But I think that if we let ourselves, it's easy to fall into that rut, that furrow, and just get dragged along by a brand. We need to understand that there is much more wonderful experiences, engagement to keep our mind open and keep the brands honest, keep them making the best product that they possibly can. Kilchoman are definitely all about that. Lee J. Brown. Oops, jumped. Sorry, Lee J. Damn. Jean de la Cuisine has joined the barflies. Thank you so much. Lee J was just saying, ain't that the truth? Whatever I was saying. So the chat has jumped and I've missed Graham Young, you star in Canada, saying, cheers, lockdown, protect Glasgow's treasures. That's my job, Graham. I hope that you're over there in Canada very much protecting yours too, my friend. Slancheva, it's been wonderful to meet you the times that you've been over as well. Cheers, Graham. You can't sip that Bimber and not have it grab your attention. Daniel Vermaas is saying, quite wisely, never forget that the more you know, the more you know, you know that you don't know. All is relative. Just when I think you're getting a handle on whiskey, I mean, as diverse it is, it's massive. It's really impossible to know everything of all the brands just on the contemporary whiskey landscape. Then you talk about whiskey history, recent history, and 100 years ago, 200 years ago. And the more you spend time in and around whiskey folk, the more you realise just how utterly ignorant that you are. And there's no one person holds all the knowledge. You have to reach out and connect and touch as much of it as you possibly can. YouTube, social media, books, meetings, tastings, talking to people in the industry, people that write about the industry. I don't think you can tire about learning about the depth of our most complex spirit. I'm speaking about me, of course. just how it fires my passions. But yeah, it's amazing. I don't think I'll, just like people talk to me about subjects for live streams and videos and that kind of thing. And it's infinite. The pool of inspiration for that is really infinite. You're only limited by your own imagination and your own passion. The list of stuff that I've got for live streams is huge, and some of them appeal to me and I want to do it, and other ones are like, that would be a good subject, but I'm not comfortable with it, or I don't have the things in place. The one I want to do on Thursday, I would love to do some kind of overview vPub about independent bottlers, how they come to be. How can you trust somebody bottling a single cask or an independent label of a distillery rather than the distillery's own official product? How can this exist? I want to talk about that concept, and I want to talk about how independent bottlers came to be out of the Scottish dynamics, the Scottish whisky landscape. I'm not promising that that's what Thursday's vPub is going to be, but that's what I would like it to be. But I would like a guest to come on to add a bit of depth. And I know that you guys get a lot out of, as long as the guest is bringing value or something curious or interest, I know that you get a lot out of it as well. Welsh Toro is saying Serge is almost the knowledge. I bet you, I've met Serge, I've been able to spend time with Serge. I have I can boast about buying Serge a 1958 Aberlour and us enjoying it together. And it started off being a bit of a fanboy thing, me talking about him, but he was very indulgent. He was very curious. And I think from what I understood from that very, very brief time I spent with him, if you asked Serge about that, I think he would be the type who would turn around and say that he doesn't, and he's still very much learning day by day, every day. But I agree, just read any of the Whisky Fun write-ups, read any of his opinions, his reviews, the context that he gives to these reviews as well, just not reviewing the whiskey, but actually giving it a depth, meaning, and context. He's just, I mean, he's the man, isn't he? Eric Waite is saying the whiskey world isn't half the size of the wine world. There are 400 plus wineries in the Napa Valley alone. I don't doubt it. It must be just as massive a wall or a barrier to try and go over to try and learn all of that. Jean de la Cuisine is agreeing, saying the more that goes for most things in life, the more he realizes he knows, the more he doesn't know. And Jimmy Legg is saying that was a sports thing. You could be the greatest in high school, college, and then you play professional and you find out what good is. Exactly. We understand exactly what we're talking about. So let's pour. That's a Port Charlotte. There's a Bunnahabhain brandy cask. What was the other one I pulled out? The Glengoyne. Let's have a wee pour of a Glengoyne cask strength. Pour the Bunnahabhain brandy cask, just a tiny wee tablespoon. Hellswood has joined the barflies. Thank you so much, Hellswood. Welcome in. You know, have access to those wee badges and emojis, and I hope you have fun with it. Welsh Story saying, absolutely, there is no end to it. I love Charles MacLean too, don't we all? How endearing was he when he was on the live? But the more you read, the more content that he's involved with, that you consume, the more endearing the man becomes. He's a treasure. He's a treasure, and it's wonderful to have him as an ambassador for Scotch whisky. With that bimber fully on my palate, let's see what a Glengoyne cask strength can do. Oh, wow. So, okay, I'm just getting a big blast of malt. Malt and creamy vanilla. No idea what batch this is, no idea of the ABV, nothing. I have no idea where this sample came from. There is no marking on it whatsoever. Horribly frustrating at times, but much softer on arrival than the Bimber, much creamier. Spice coming now, ABV bringing spice. Oh, this is a lot of, this is very much like an American oak, Glengoyne. Very sweet and creamy, caramelly. Wow, lots of butterscotch and caramel. Werther's Originals and creamy Highland toffee. Nice, very nice. What a contrast. What a fantastic contrast. Graham Fraser is saying, what do you rate as the best of the current English whiskies, Roy? Graham, not being the most knowledgeable, I've only touched the lakes. There's White Peaks as well now. There's um, the English Whiskey Co. I've tried a couple of independent bottlings of the guys in Norfolk at the English Whiskey Company or St George's. They've been really, really good as well. Much better than in the past, I have to say. Bimber seems to be doing fantastic things regularly. I think it's a good time, and there needs to be a bit of a renaissance. But the renaissance has to be led by not just the fact that it's English whiskey, but it's damn good whiskey, and the fact that it's English whiskey should be incidental. Honestly, it should just be good whiskey. So yeah, I didn't finish talking about a few things, right? At that lockdown whiskey festival. So yes, I'm going to have to put my game face on. I'm going to have to kind of be super focused and behave exactly on your behalf. We'll kind of work out how that's going to work. I'm not sure how it's going to work. I'm not sure how the structure is going to play out. But in time, we'll work out how to play that. And I think I would be interested to see if that's going to be an ongoing thing, because they've managed to put together about 10 or 11 brands right now. I read out who the brands were. I can probably tell you who the brands are right now. Let's see if I can pull it up. You have to, it's not on my channel, so you have to head over. If you're interested in joining this virtual whiskey festival, I'm really excited about it. You need to go into YouTube. You need to find the Tomatin channel. Just type in Tomatin. If it doesn't pop up, just filter it by channel. It's Tomatin Distillery is the name. So type in the Tomatin Distillery and you'll find it. And you'll find the if you subscribe, you can click the bell icon, and that means that if they do it in future, you'll get a notification and things as well. But Adelphi Distillery, the independent bottlers, are going to be involved. Arran, fantastic. Benriach, superb. Kuboken, of course, one of the Tomatin brands is there. Glenallachie, Glencadam, Tom and Towel, Paul John, Kilhoman, Kilkerran are going to be there, and Glenmurray as well. Interested to see who's going to be there on behalf of Glenmurray. I would imagine that all of these brands will be hosted by some form of ambassador, whiskey ambassador. And for a lot of these guys, it might be their first time on a public platform like YouTube like this. So it's going to be interesting for them how they interact with it, how it feels to them. Obviously, Tomatin will be there as well and hosted by myself. Pick up the chat again. Whiskey Games, Matt. Good to have you in, Matt. Has anybody ever seen the stuff that Matt makes? Whiskey Games, he's in tonight, Matt Bishop. He makes games and curios out of old whiskey staves and barrels. And I know that he's not the first to do that, but I had a wee look on his website as well. And if I didn't have problems checking out, I know it's more to do with my side, Matt, than yours. I think I would have already had a set of your dominoes on their way to me. So I'm gonna need to remind myself to do that and pick up a wee set, because we're in lockdown right now, and a set of dominoes would be fantastic. A set of whiskey dominoes would be extra fantastic. Matt, I don't know if you want to share what you do, if you want to put a link in or something, but if any of the admins tonight sees that link getting blocked, please share it. I want people to see what you're making with your hands, Matt. I think it's fantastic. I know you do it as a hobby, and you deserve to be rewarded for it. But he's saying, would be interesting to hear from Becky Paskin on the vPub. Yeah, I've met Becky a couple of times. I was on Isla with her last year. She's not without a job anymore. She's got a new job. She used to head up scotchwhisky.com. And I always felt that scotchwhisky.com was a wee bit neutered, because there wasn't a lot of opinion or real kind of insight. It was good when they had the Dave Brooms and things like that kept contributing articles. But they were a fantastic resource, and they were this kind of aggregate site for all the news and new releases and the things that were happening in the industry, that were fast, that were out there, that were concise, well presented, easy to navigate, good search engine, lots of database and product, lots of layers behind it. Somebody needs to come in and buy that site. The Scotch Whisky Association should go and buy scotchwhisky.com from whoever's holding it right now. And somebody needs to step in and occupy the space that we all occupy right now, this vacuum that exists between brands and the legislation and control of Scotch whisky. There's this vacuum that people need to teach people about what whisky is, what it can offer people, how it can teach you to taste as opposed to drink, about flavors, about experience, about everything that this drink has got to offer. That doesn't seem to exist right now. For God's sake, SWA, go and buy scotchwhisky.com and get it back up and running again. And then we don't mind that it's all kind of brand driven, and we don't mind that there's lots of kind of very generic copy and paste from press release to article and things like that. We understand why that has to exist. But it keeps us up to date on the news and a good quality, easy to navigate interface. I think it's a loss that that's gone. Don't know if you would agree with me. I know somebody, Gregor is saying, I know somebody that loves talking about whiskey, Roy, whisky.com. You're talking about Horst and the guys over in Germany. They do a fantastic job as well, and they do act as a wee bit of a, like, for example, I think they're the first guys out there with a video today on the Ardbeg Wee Beastie, for example, the 5-year-old new Ardbeg. They do a good job. But they are in the industry. I would rather it was somebody that was outside the industry, adding the editorial content, adding the reviews, that kind of thing. But there still needs to be a place for an aggregator, a news aggregator for all the industry to talk about latest releases, new events, whatever it may be. Kilco O'Brien has hit the nail on the head by saying people need to learn how to appreciate whiskey and not just shoot them back. That's right. It's all about education. Multi-Haggis Muncher is saying it's a massive loss, Roy. I agree. But you can see how the business model was flawed. There's no way to fund what they were doing. Where's the... it was a wee bit old-fashioned, and there was a bit of an inevitability about it. So you had to add extra layers for the people that was consuming the content, and it wasn't there because of the way that they were set up. So then they have to be forced to move to a subsidy model, and the only people that can subsidize it are the SWA, or a body like the SWA, separate from the SWA, that's set up as a kind of marketing body for whiskey. Stewie Baby saying, I have no experience of Glenglassaugh. Where would you start? Glenglassaugh Evolution. It really has evolved. The first Glenglassaugh Evolution I walked away from, never thinking I would go back again. And then a friend, Craig Dolier, brought me over the Glenglassaugh Evolution, and I was blown away by it. It was wonderful. I wish they put a bloody age statement on there, and I don't care how young the youngest component is, because it's a fantastic whiskey. Glenglassaugh Evolution as well. Good presentation on it as well, apart from the age statement issue. Hoyt is saying, is Whiskey Sponge still going? Yeah, but it's Angus that's behind Whiskey Sponge, as we all know now, and it's a kind of I mean, that's kind of when the creative juices are flowing, when he's got an idea how to be satirical about a topic or a subject, and it's a good fun distraction site. But it's not kind of a you don't lead with Whiskey Sponge. That's for geeks and enthusiasts. Whiskey Sponge, I think. Silverloch Whiskey Club is saying Mark Gillespie of Whiskey Cask is doing a pretty decent job at Cavite. Yeah, global kind of whiskey newscast. That's exactly right. Whiskey Cast is still out there doing that very thing. Whiskey Throttle is saying, easy Roy, we don't want to have to call an ambulance. Thanks, Daniel. Paul Gibbs is saying, tried the Tullibardine 15. Not yet. I haven't, Paul. I've poured this Bunnahabhain brandy cask. Wow. Not a huge fan of brandy, I have to say. This is very appley, very green appley, but very rich. Wonder who gave me this. No name on the sample. For goodness sake, please put names on it. And here's the drama I'm going to finish with tonight. Marcus Kreitner's 6-year-old Kalila. This is Claxton's. So there, as an independent bottler, they're quite happy to put a 6-year age statement on there. The industry should be too. Gregor is saying, Aquavita, what I meant was you should take the mantle of ScotchWhisky.com. I don't want to be a voice, a news spreader. I don't want to be a news aggregator. I want to always be independent. I always want to kind of be able to say, Spirit Works Thomas shouting, me, I gave you that, Roy. I gave you the brandy cask. Fantastic. I just always want to maintain my own content, my own opinion at my own pace. I don't want to be beholden of anybody. I don't want it to kind of just replace my boss with a whiskey boss. Things are good. Things are good. But thanks, Gregor. Neil Cochran is saying, did you see Derek doing the Bunnahabhain online thing on Friday? No, I didn't. I did not. Did I see you speaking to Precarious Dave earlier, Neil? Is Dave in? He can't be in. It would indeed be dark, difficult days if Precarious Dave was reduced to watching us on live streams. Yes, he's in. Have you checked the plants? Precarious Dave is here. So we don't normally have Dave's presence on live streams. He must be feeling the oppression of the lockdown to be joining us here. Nice to have you, Dave. And Neil, my friends. Thank you. Thomas saying the Boona brandy is courtesy of a mate of mine, Ben Green. Give him a shout out as he watches on Catch Up. Thank you, Ben Green, for this delicious, rich Bunnahabhain. Tell me if you get green apple tart. I mean, this is a sweet, rich whiskey, full-bodied, but there's a nice, bright green, kind of fresh apple crispness to it as well. Billy Saunders saying, never thought of doing a whiskey lottery. I know a few that do it, a couple of quid a month, and have a monthly draw for a random bottle. Sounds like a lot of admin for me, Billy. I think it's a good idea. But no, I don't know. Never say never, but I've never thought about it. It's Dave's birthday today. Wow. Precarious Dave, can we all say welcome to Precarious Dave? And many, many happy returns to him as well. Happy birthday, Dave. Sláinte, my friend. I hope you're keeping well. I know you've been kept away from your skiing and your various trips recently. I know it's going to be difficult for you, but I hope you had a good birthday despite it all. Happy birthday, Dave. Let's see the chat light up with good will and happy birthday wishes for our fellow barfly, Dave. And help me drown out those down thumbs that's coming along recently. There's one or two at a time, but they seem to be a serial thing. Never, ever dismiss them. I use them as feedback, honestly, I do. But it's always nice when you don't hit an up thumb if you don't want to. I'm only reminding the ones that would like to hit an up thumb that they should probably do it, as much as I often forget to do it. I do appreciate everybody who drops by. I'm looking at the Tomatin video that I called up to list the brands, and they have 75 likes for a video that's going out a week from now. That's a great measure of the appetite for such an initiative, and I'm looking forward to welcoming you all on that stream. Eric Evanson is asking, what's your favourite food pairing with whiskey? I'm still experimenting, Eric. I love a bit of dark bitter chocolate with whiskey, I always have. But my favourite is cheese. Cheese and whiskey is just marvellous, especially like a rich Speyside as well with something quite chalky and a hard waxy cheese or something. Cheese and whiskey, yeah, I like it. Daniel Gray, happy birthday, Dave. Shame the lockdown hurts your ability to celebrate, but at least you get some Aquavita to help share it with. Yes, you're in here now. I don't know how many of us there are. 270. Oh, Jesus. Oh, it's listening to me. Thank you all so much. That's very intimidating, I have to say. If you all end up at this Tomatin open lockdown whiskey festival a week from now, like I've said before, you can't watch it on this channel. It's not on this channel. You have to subscribe to the Tomatin Distillery channel to catch the first lockdown festival stream from their channel. I don't know where it'll go after that, whether they'll continue to host future events if this lockdown thing continues, or whether it'll kind of round robin to other channels. I'll keep you up to date as long as it's something that remains collaborative and supported and from a really, really genuine place in the industry, much the same as any whiskey festival that we would ever attend in real life. If it remains of that spirit and it's collaborative and inclusive, I will support it. Believe me, I really will. There is a quiz tonight. There is a quiz and there is a theme to the quiz tonight. I'm not going to tell you what the theme is. You have to fathom it out because it might help you unlock the answers to some of the questions. But there's always a quiz. So even on these extended opening hours vPubs, I'm going to do a quiz, and we'll get into that in a couple of minutes now. I wanted to touch on one thing that's kind of struck me myself recently before we get into the quiz, and that is that we are all in this kind of situation together. And what I'm finding is that I'm grazing like a maniac. I'm going to put on a ton of weight over the next few weeks if I'm not careful. I'm using that pocket of time every day, that one pocket of exercise that's been permitted to us by our own UK government. And I'm going out with the kids at lunchtime and we're going to the park, we're taking the bikes. Although that in itself is a dangerous thing because they're not that steady on the bikes. And I can't have them wanting to attend A&E or whatever. But anyway, we're going on the bikes to the park and we're taking kind of a Nerf missile thing and throwing it to each other. Maybe take a ball and things and keeping the activity up. But honestly, I find that I'm grazing a lot. But the temptation to drink too much is a big deal as well. You get to that point in the evening where you're like, that, you know, the psychological weight of the oppression of staying at home, it might seem like a relaxed time and like life is slowed down a wee bit in a lot of ways, but it's easy to kind of overindulge a wee bit. And I would like us all, I don't want to be preachy about this. I just want to talk about my own experience and that I've found it difficult. Usually before a vPub, for example, I would have 1 or 2 nights free of alcohol before I sit with you drinking drams and before I go out to a whiskey club or a tasting festival event, whatever it is. I try and have gaps in the week. But I don't think there's been a single gap. Maybe there's been 1 or 2 days, honestly, no more than that, during this whole lockdown. So I think we all have to be a wee bit more mindful of what we're consuming. It's not a free ticket to just sit at home and collapse on the couch and abandon everything. It's challenging times, no doubt, and we have to do what we can to keep our sanity. But let's not damage our health in other ways as we try and protect our health from what's going on right now. I'm going to raise a glass and say sláinte because sláinte literally means to your good health. And I genuinely mean it. To mine too. Sláinte. Tell Mr. Green Tom that he's been having brandy cask is delicious. And thank you very much. Now, Marcus might be staying up late enough to enjoy this with me. But I poured this on a previous live stream and I don't think I sipped from it until after the live had finished. But this is a 6-year-old Kalila that from memory parades like something much, much older and bolder. Wow. Wow. It's a bourbon hogshead and, okay, that explains it, and PX sherry octave. So an octave being a very, very small cask. So you can almost ignore the fact that it's only 6 years old because it's had some form of accelerated aging in such a small cask. Bottle 30 of only 70. That's a measure of that octave cask at 57.4 ABV, sample from Marcus Kreiner. So I'll raise a wee glass to Marcus and Christina, who are always in here supporting and watching. Thank you for all your support recently, and thank you for this dram of Kalila. Kalila. I didn't smell a lot of smoke on the palate, on the nose, sorry, but it's there on the palate. Anybody that watches me will know that my nose and Pete don't always get along. Sunday Evening Scotch Michael is saying great points. As whiskey enthusiasts, we have to be very careful to remember that this substance becomes a problem for many. The benevolent charity doesn't exist without reason, right? Take steps to keep things healthy and positive. Absolutely. Rely on the people that are around you. Look for their lead, look for their questioning and things. And also, it's the responsibility is yours to remember and just keep a tab on how much you're actually drinking. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have weeks off and dry months and things like that. It's about balance, and it's about if you do have a whiskey, monitor how many you're having, how big the pours are and things. One of the things that I do, it's just a measure of how lazy I can be. Pour a fat measure. Pour something that makes you feel you're being really greedy. Pour beyond the fattest part in the Glencairn. Then take it away from the whiskey cabinet, sit far away from it, go and watch TV or whatever in a different room, go to a different room and get comfortable and be in a position where it takes a lot of effort for you to get out and recharge the glass. Because you tend to find that a decent home pour, a double measure, is enough to relax you to the point you're probably not interested in getting up again, and you're just happy in front of the TV, in front of the book, whatever it is you're doing. And you know that you over poured. So you know that you've had enough. It works for me of occasion. It's just something that I kind of try and kid myself with. I don't know if it would work for you, but it's a suggestion. Craig Dollier is here. Good to see you, Craig. He's saying Aquavita the Glenglassa evolution is getting low, coming soon to a recycle bin near you. Thanks, Craig. But of course, I can't review that Glenglassa evolution in a recycled review, because although I've enjoyed a lot of it with you, I don't know, that might qualify. I don't feel like I've experienced it from top to bottom, but it might be one to share. It might be a good one. It might qualify for a recycled review. Drew Bills from Scotch for Dummies is in, just bought me a dram, and he said, virtual dram, mate, 4-finger pour. Thank you so much, Drew. I'll raise this glass of Kalila and say sláinte to you. And I hope that we're going to get to congratulate you very soon. This is the boys at Scotch for Dummies. Let's have a wee look at how their subs are doing, because there's an imminent milestone coming for those guys. We know. Scotch for Dummies is their YouTube channel. Fantastic guys. 9.9k. And I happen to know that they are very, very close to that 10k mark. And I hope there's talk about maybe us getting together and having a wee YouTuber party to celebrate Scotch for Dummies hitting their 10k mark. That would be a fantastic excuse for us to get back together and remind everybody out there that we're still very, very collaborative and very supportive of each other. That's always what it's about. Sláinte, Drew. Sláinte, my friend. Say hello to Mark, Andrew, and Sean for me too. Ross Fudd is here. It's never a good thing to keep up with my wife who's drinking wine. Don't match the wine glass pours. Absolutely. She's drinking something at 12 or 14% ABV. You're drinking something at 4 or 5 times that ABV at least. Silverloch Whisky Club is in. I try to stick to the rule of no more than 2 pours, I guess he's saying, in a day, and no more than 2 days in a row. That's a good little metric to work by. I would say that if you're doing what I'm doing, if you've got a channel and if you're doing a lot of social events and clubs and things, that would be really tough. But I salute you for that. It's very healthy to be aware of what you're consuming. Zen Buddhist saying subscribing to Scotch for Dummies now. Great guys out in Indianapolis. Been going for a long time now. They're committed. They've carved out their furrow. We know what they're all about. Every Thursday they put out a live stream, and every Monday they put out a whiskey review as well. It's 4 guys going together. Really interesting to get 4 different perspectives on a whiskey as well. Really interesting how sometimes you see the dynamic happening where they review and they start to lead each other and they start to point out different notes and flavors and things, and other ones say, oh yeah, I didn't pick that up, but you got it. It's an interesting format. Zeke Hansen has bought me a dram saying virtual dram from Seattle, Sláinte, out in the northwest coast of the States. It must be quite early where you are, my friend, but Zeke, thank you so much for your virtual dram. I hope you and yours are staying healthy too. Sláinte pa. Thank you, Zeke. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly as well. Okay. Jason Whiskey-Wise is saying, hey, Tom R, it's been ages, but glad to be back and hope you're well. Is Tom Aaron here tonight as well? My goodness, so many of you are here. Tom, fantastic to welcome you on a Sunday as well. Let's get on with this quiz. So this is when we see the viewer level drop significantly, because not a lot of people are interested in this quiz, but, and I have to say it's a bit of a dodgy, ropey quiz tonight. I did it in a rush earlier today, but it's fun and it's not intended as a competition. Just keep your own score at home. You don't even need to share it in the chat in the lounge if you don't want to. you're only playing against yourself. It's a bit like an honor system, like at golf or whatever it might be, where you're just trying to better your score each time. I need to get my act together and do a 10 out of 10 emoji, so the people that are that have joined the YouTube membership can use that 10 out of 10 to celebrate when they do indeed reach that, or they can celebrate the other people that do reach 10 out of 10. It's just for fun. And the quiz is intended to kind of bring us together as whiskey geeks and whiskey enthusiasts, bring a wee bit of kind of good-natured competition, but also to engender a bit of kind of curiosity there about topics and subjects and angles about whiskey in general that you might not be aware of. Sometimes I throw in production questions or questions about whiskey tube or whatever it may be. But most of the time it's concentrated fully on whiskey and whiskey's landscape. And of course, because of this, the Aquavitae channel, and I'm very much grounded in Scotch, it's mostly Scotch whiskey focused. But I do try and put world whiskey questions in there too. It's just for fun. Jimmy Jazz, who's giving us the banana skin warning, and I have to say that, yes, tonight there may be a banana skin or two. There's also a theme to tonight's quiz at the end, and yeah, you'll spot the theme as it goes on. It's just not that difficult to spot, but it's just something I'm maybe going to start to introduce to these quizzes going forward, to add a wee extra layer, a bit of a theme. It's just a good bit of fun. The announcements going forward before you all disappear and bail out on me for the quiz starting. The next vPub will be Thursday night, public vPub, regular scheduled vPub. On Thursday, I would love to do it on independent bottlers, but I may bump that subject depending on guest availability. And maybe a week from now, personal schedule notwithstanding, if I don't seem to have much on, as I mentioned earlier, I'll try and bring an extended opening on Sunday nights for the foreseeable future, while they are valued and while they are in demand. If you do like this, please leave a comment under the video and say that you're getting some value out of it. If you've got some feedback where you think it could be better, because these extended hours things I'm not really making a theme or structure for. Give me the feedback in the comments below. Now let me try to see if I can bring in the quiz and start it. I don't know who's here to support me tonight. Of course, Jason Whiskey Wise is here. Whiskey Jason is here. Steve Anderson was in earlier. Lots of my wingmen are in tonight, and any one of them is welcome to try and help define where the questions start and finish. But I wish everybody the best of luck. It's multiple choice. It's just for fun. Enjoy. Good luck, everybody. Question 1 is, Sirius has been used as a brand by North Star. But who else? Who else has used the brand Sirius? Is it A, the Macallan, B, the Dalmore, or C, the Glenlivet? Who else has had a product out there and called it Sirius? Thanks to the two Jasons for their very clear defining lines there. Very helpful. I think we may be starting on a wee bit of a banana skin, because I only discovered this. I think it was way back there in my brain. Gabriel Welding is spot on by saying D. Precarious Dave is saying, you know, I'm really a big vPub guy. I prefer the real pub, but you're the best of the best I can actually get. Well, thank you, Dave. I'll take that as a compliment. I hope you stay and participate in the quiz, my friend. It'd be good to see how you got on tonight. So yeah, I can ask everybody before you have the chance of getting Google to come back with the answers. It looks like a banana skin to start with tonight, but I can tell you that the Dalmore released a 1951 vintage super premium release, and they called it the Dalmore Sirius after the brightest star, or one of the brightest stars in our sky. Which is the exact same inspiration for North Star, the Glasgow independent bottler. Sirius's bourbon cask vatted malt from them, while their sherry cask vatted malt is called Vega. 2. Ward Head is a trading name for malt made by which distillery? Who puts their trading casks out there as Ward Head? Rumour has it that it's Teaspoon. We don't know if it is or not, but the fact that the paperwork says that it is means that it is. Is it A, Glenfiddich, B, Balvenie, or C, Girvan? 3 Grant's brands I've got in front of you there. 3 William Grant brands. I just want to know which of those is a trading name. I sold under a trading name Wardhead. Pentone, that looks like a new name. Pentone family. Guessing Girvan. Mark Brown is saying A, and Fraser Bell is saying A for Glenfiddich. Spiritworks Tom is saying A. Ben Marnick saying B. Klaus Bowling is saying A. Jean de la Cuisine and Malt Minion both saying A. Apu de Geese, good to have you in, Apu. Fantastic to see you. Rostislav is in. Sam Clark. Scott Allen. Scott, is Becky sat next to you? I hope you're doing very well, and I hope you're keeping in the best of health, my friend. Good to see you. And Scott is thinking it's A, Glenfiddich, and I can tell everybody that it is, in fact, Glenfiddich. Balvenie is known, I believe, as Burnside, if it's a traded thing. Now, what they want to do here is they don't want to compete against themselves by an independent bottler, so they don't want an independent bottler taking care of and being responsible for the quality and the presentation of their brand, so they sell it on as Wardhead. So you might see independent bottlers selling Wardhead. What it actually is Glenfiddich. Sam Clark, 0 out of 2, going so well. Sorry, Sam. Stick with it. Stick with it, my friend. Question 3. The unloved flora and fauna Petit Veich featured what on the label? What did Petit Veich have on the label? Was it A, porpoises, B, deer, or C, a wildcat? Try and work with the theme a wee bit here. Try and, I know that a lot of you will not have access to flora and fauna, let alone Petit Veich flora and fauna, which there is still a lot of it out there, by the way. There wasn't exactly flying off the shelves as a release. I'm trying to release your comment, Menno. Good to have you in, Menno. I hope you're back on good health again. But there is a theme to the quiz tonight, and you might be picking up what that theme is. Let's see. It's all over the place. There's lots of, I think we're 3 out of 3 banana skin questions here already tonight. Can I just say that it's difficult to put these questions together? And if there's anybody out there, usually I say to people that if you've got 10 out of 10 on a quiz, you have the ability, then your reward, if you like, is that you can contribute quiz questions. If there's somebody out there who wants to give it a try, you might realize just how difficult it is to put a quiz together. I can tell you that Petit Veich features a little deer with antlers on the front. I don't know if I've got a picture of it. Yes, I have. There you go. So you can see flora and fauna Petit Veich, fairly unloved bottling. I don't know why. I don't know. I don't have much experience with Petit Veich. I've never bought that particular expression, but that's what I was after. Question 4. The Scotch watch was a maturation warehouse security detail made up of what? A, mirrors, B, geese, C, retired police officers. The Scotch watch was a famous maturation warehouse security detail made up of what? Please don't Google this. You might find it very, very quickly if you Google it. But I didn't want to say which distillery it was. I didn't want to talk about it too much. It was one of these things that if you know, you know. And if you don't know, it's a fun and curious thing to go and find out about. And you knowledgeable crowd seem to be running away with this. The vast majority of the crowd are spot on when they say that it is indeed B, geese. I think from as far back as the 50s up until about recent times, I think 5 or 6 years ago, thereabouts, that Dumbarton Distillery had a flock of geese in place, and these geese were super effective at patrolling the grounds, and if they were disturbed at night at all, it was very, very easy for anybody on duty to detect when there was somebody in because of the geese. And it became a worldwide tourist attraction, almost this curious thing at Dumbarton Distillery, and the geese earned the name the Scotch Watch. Cool story. Let's look at the pictorial question, and it's a super zoomed in shot of a bottle of whiskey. And I'm obviously going to ask you, it's another flora and fauna question. It's about the third in the last 2 quizzes that we've had on flora and fauna. I promise that I won't over-egg it too much. But I want to ask, are we looking at a bottle of Linkwood, a bottle of Mortlach, or a bottle of Inchgour? I think the type of bird that is a grebe. I might be wrong, don't quote me on that, but I believe it to be a grebe. These extended hours vPubs are free. They are not charged to patrons. Patrons don't, nobody pays for these. It's just extra content. As I've said at the start of the stream, I feel like it's the minimum I can do. Stuck at home, not much else I can do but fall out with my kids as I try to homeschool them. So this is kind of my little way of doing something. I hope it's in some way enjoyable to you guys. But Lee Hosey is hitting the nail on the head by saying, big clue on Instagram today. Absolutely. I shared this image on Instagram today as a lead up to tonight. And I talked about sharing the dram that I shared earlier that's going to end up going off to Lee J. And it is, of course, Mortlach. This is from the image I shared on Instagram today. Just such a classy picture. But you can see the grebe there on Mortlach 16 flora and fauna. So if you answered Mortlach, which was B, give yourself a point. And I'm going to jump in to the chat now. And I'm going to figure out how you guys are doing at the halfway point after the images. Luke Gixer Skipper on 5, Alistair Gray on 5, Jason Whiskey Weiss on 4, strong scoring, Marcus Kreitner. Maybe it's not so many. Daniel Vermaas 5, not so many banana skins. Service Alafis, good to see you in, my friend. Malcolm Douglas on 4, but Service Alafis, that's Andreas out in Norway, is on 5. Mikey Hayes on 4. Oh, it's gone by so fast. Who else? Any other 5s that I can pick up quickly? Lunaran is saying, grebe. What kind of duck is it? It's not a duck, it's a grebe. I think it could be a great crested grebe. But grebe is spelled G-R-E-B-E. So a freshwater bird. Looking tired suddenly, Roy. Do I look tired? I am a wee bit tired, but I don't feel tired. Not right now. I'm happy. I could go on a lot longer, Jimmy. Don't worry about me, my friend. Don't worry. Worry about me tomorrow when I'm homeschooling. That's when I'll look tired. All you guys that are doing homeschooling out there, my hat goes off to you. I mean, it's not easy. It's not easy. Jimmy is saying I am a great crested Jimmy. Skogsmard is saying, so since I got 10 out of 10 last time, is the ball in my court now? Basically, Skogsmard, if you want to contribute some questions, you're very, very welcome to. And what I would do is I would just cherry pick and look for the good questions that you're sharing and things that I wouldn't normally think about and include it. And I'll credit you if you do. So let's get back to question 6 and ask, a whiskey liqueur called Red Stag, flavoured with black cherry, was released by which brand? So hopefully you can see the theme now. We're very much in the theme of flora and fauna, but not in the sense of Diageo releases, but animals and animals in the whiskey world. Animals used as branding, animals used in the whiskey environment, or whatever it may be. But a whiskey liqueur called Red Stag is apparently available out there, and it's released by which brand? Who sells this? Is it A, Jim Beam, B, William Grant's, or C, Yamazaki? Jimmy Legg is saying he has a miniature of that. So hopefully you've got that one right then, my friend. Jason Whiskey Wise is saying multi-mission. He's good just at sitting with me now watching the stream. Wonder who that is, Jason. Your family. Everybody's got this one right. Absolutely kicked it out of the park. I don't see any wrong answers on this at all. It is, of course, Jim Beam's Red Stag Whiskey Liqueur. Question 7. What creatures are well known to frequent the waters around Kalila? Now, there are lots of things in the Sound of Islay out there off the coast of where Kalila is situated, but of course I'm talking about the ones that if you go there early in the morning you can often see them, and they're famous. Is it A, otters, B, basking sharks, or C, kelpies? Yeah, I was maybe tired when I put this quiz together, honestly, Jimmy. Looking at the questions I've put together. I think this is a freebie for most people. Bit of a giveaway. I don't doubt that there are basking sharks there from time to time, but of course, Kalila is famous for hosting a family of otters. Let's have a wee scroll up and see what was. Somebody cleared that. My admins are working for me tonight. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Yes, not a lot of Kelpie action in Isla or anywhere else for that matter. 8. Cat question. Towser was a famous mousing cat situated at which distillery? Towser, where was she situated? Was she at Glenturret? Was she at Tomintoul? Or was she at Tullibardine? Where was Towser? The famous story of Towser is she lived to 24 years old and caught almost 29,000 mice. I always wanted to know who counted all the mice that this cat was catching. And it turns out that, as normal with these things, nobody was really counting. The Guinness Book of World Records people monitored her for a few days and multiplied her track record on the amount of years that she'd been alive to come up with that number to give her the world record. Not as romantic as it could have been, I guess, but such is the way of it. Where was Towser situated? She was, of course, the famous record-breaking cat and mouser at Glenturret Distillery. Glenturret at the time was famously the home of the famous grouse. Jason Whiskey Wise is saying, Macrovidia, my friend Josh is in Glasgow, has a bottle which he'll open on his graduation day. Fantastic. Hi to Josh out there. I've met you a couple of times, Josh. Had the pleasure of shaking your hands. You came out to the tasting. We didn't have any space for you in May of last year. It was a kind of surprise thing. I hope that we can welcome you to a tasting in the near future, Josh. Slanshire. Question 9, second from last question. Black Heron Spirits. Is a distillery located where? Is Black Heron in the USA? Is it in Australia? Or is it in Canada? A, USA. B, Australia. C, Canada. Tell me where you are. Island Hopper Stuart. Good to see you, Stuart. Is saying not a grebe. Probably a female red-breasted merganser or goosander. Wow, fantastic. Check out the image. It's emerging from a hole in a tree where they make their nest. Grebes make... Has it disappeared? Grebes make floating nests. Sure, wonderful insight. Thank you so much. Like I said, when I mentioned it could be a grebe, don't quote me on it. It looks like one, but that's great insight. A merganser or a goosander. Superb. Absolutely superb. I can tell you that the answer to this is that Black Heron is indeed located in the UK. Hey, somebody is in here from Seattle tonight. I think that they are from Washington State. I think. But again, like the grebe, don't quote me on that. So anybody that answered A, give yourself a point. Now where do we stand with one question to go? Hopefully the majority of you are on the pass mark. The magic pass mark is, of course, just 5 out of 10. I can see most of you are. Mark Slinger, 5 out of 10. Ross Fudd, 7. Dalt, 8 out of 9. Alistair Gray is saying, he's probably just slipped up on that one. Few people with the banana skin emoji there to declare their feelings about that one. Lindsay Holman is in, only with a 2 out of 9. You're not going to make a pass mark tonight, Lindsay. Hang around a wee while and see how you get on. As time goes on, you will pick up things. Thanks for participating. Gordon Finney is on a pass mark already. Spiritworks Tom, 8 from 9. Is there anybody on 9 out of 9? I'm trying to find somebody who has a chance of getting 10 out of 10 tonight. Going to finish under the 2-hour mark as well. What an amazing achievement. Great stuff. I don't see any 9 out of 9s. If I'm missing somebody, somebody shout out to me. But a few of you look, oh, Gixer Skipper Luke looks like he's on 9 out of 9. He's the only one that's in a position to do it. Jimmy Jazz is saying it's okay, it's birthday. It's birthday Precarious Dave. Let's see how Dave's getting on. Not playing anymore. Sulking. Sorry, Dave. Whiskey Throttle is saying Agravite Gixer Skipper is the champ. It looks like it. It looks like Luke is going to take the spoils tonight based on this last question. Question 10. As well as the Glenfiddich and Dalmore, which brand's bottles also feature a stag logo type? Fairly easy, I think. Is it A, Jura, B, Loch Lomond, or C, Blair Athol? Of those three brands, where can we find a familiar stag logotype? Question 10. Come on, let's see if Luke is going to just skin his knees at the hurdle, the last hurdle. I'm looking for Gixxer Skipper's answer coming in. Are we looking at a banana skin here? Is he off Googling? Frantically Googling Loch Lomond? It does take a while for all these to come in. Oh, it's so fast. So many of you in helping me out and hanging out with me on a Sunday night. I really, really appreciate it. It's fantastic. Nope, I don't see Luke. I don't see Luke. Gixxer got it. I don't see his... It's moving too fast. I trust that he did indeed get it, but I haven't seen him answer. Okay, fantastic. I can tell you that indeed it was Loch Lomond. Loch Lomond features a stag logotype. I think I've got a picture here to let you see. So as well as Glenfiddich and the Dalmore, they all use, I guess, the Cervus elaphus. I don't know if that would be right. Would that be right, Andreas? That we're looking at that deer, that red deer. So there we go. Thank you to everyone for participating. I hope that was a wee bit of a fun and distraction and a way to close out the quiz. I've got a wee fly in here tonight. More company. I hope that was good fun for you and a bit of a distraction. I don't feel like I'm going to be able to bring too much structure and content. It's just going to be hanging out with you guys in these Sunday nights. But let's see how it develops. Alistair Gray is saying, Roy, thanks again for this vPub. Also to Mrs. Duff as well. Thank you so much, Alistair. We all appreciate this. I very much appreciate you turning up in support. I really, really do. Whiskey Throttle Daniel saying 9 out of 10, unless I got number 1 correct, but I didn't see the question, Aquavite. Go back, Daniel, and look again. You might find you're a 10 out of 10 tonight. Gixxer Skipper seems to be the guy who's stolen the laurels tonight. Fantastic it is as well. 10 out of 10. Stevie is saying, thanks, Aquavite, a fun evening. It's just amazing to me that you would consider that it is fun. Honestly, Steve, it's fun for me, and I'm glad that you turn up, not just to watch, but also support me as admin as well, along with Doc, Whiskey, Jason Whiskey Wise, Steve A, Alistair Gray. So many of you come in and just help me manage things. It's wonderful. Neil Cochran is saying, great work, Roy. Well done. Thank you, Neil. Luna is saying, thank you for a great hangout. Cheers to Mrs. Aquavite. I need to get her on a vPub. I need to get her on a lock-in, probably. A patron-only stream. I'll get Lynn to come in one night and hang out. You can ask her any question you like, anything at all. Jean de la Cuisine is saying, always have a good time in the vPub. Thank you, Jean. It's wonderful to have you. Jay Francis is saying, cheers, Roy, and everyone in the chat. Catch you on the next one. I'll catch you on Thursday night, Jay. Thank you so much. Ben Demon Hunter is saying, great theme. Animals in the quiz. Fantastic. Ben, thank you so much for joining us. Ross Fudd is saying, check that fly for its mask and rubber gloves. Where has it been? Of course. Precarious Dave is saying, big thanks, Slancher pal. Thank you so much to you, Dave, as well. What am I going to hold up? I've got the most of, I didn't pour any of Scott's Port Charlotte tonight. I skipped it for the peated Kalila. I'll hold up the last of this Kalila to say happy birthday to Precarious Dave. Many happy returns, my friend. Thank you. Whiskey Novice Jim is saying, see you, Roy. See you during the week. Fantastic, Jim. Thanks for being in and supporting again. I chat jumped. I've lost everybody. Lots and lots of feedback. Wonderful. Thank you for leaving the feedback in the live chat. Jump into the comments after the video. Leave a wee thumbs up if you enjoyed yourself tonight. Leave a comment of thanks and things. Help YouTube. Help me. Help YouTube support this fantastic whiskey community that we've got going on here, and get it out there. If you're interested, I'll bring you more information over the usual social media channels through Patreon and things, and on Thursday night's vPub as well, about what's happening with the Lockdown Whiskey Festival. Hopefully that will progress quite nicely in a positive way over the next few days, and I'll be able to share more information with you, perhaps even share what the drams are going to be poured as well. But I'm really excited about that. That's Saturday afternoon next week, 4th of April, running from 2 till 5, a 3-hour session. So I'll probably need to figure out how I'm going to get through that. But I'm there to represent you, so bring along your questions to all of these brands that's bringing their products to them and why we should engage with it. Wonderful stuff. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I'm going to raise this bimber, this last wee sip of that delicious bimber. Grab the last of the chat. Raise a glass and say thank you for joining me on another Sunday evening. Thank you for being such fantastic, supportive, wonderful company. I genuinely do love you all. You're fantastic, wonderful, supportive people, and it's a pleasure to be here with you. I'll see you on Thursday night. Good night. Take care. Stay healthy, sane, and safe. Slanjava.